Okay guys, welcome back. I want to bring to your attention how good Greataxes are after patch 1.06. Greataxes were not very popular or great before, but with this new patch they brought them back to life. With increased attack speed, hence more damage over time, and reduced time that it takes to roll after an attack, giving you more survivability in fights. Now paired with a pure strength build, creates an insane build that not only makes tons of damage and faster attacks than before, it gives you the chance of breaking the stance of enemies and bosses faster, and a high poise and stagger resistance, so you can swing away and always hit the enemy. And if you play aggressively, you will get the chance to get those sweet critical hits that take a big chunk of enemies' health and are great to watch. So if you haven't tried Greataxes before, now is a good time to do so using this monster tank strength build. If you enjoyed this kind of build video, please hit that like button and subscribe down below. If you have a Greataxe that you started to use after the patch and think it's OP, please comment down below your thoughts on it. With that, let's take a deep dive into this build. Quick shout out to our sponsor AOE.com. If you don't have the time to grind for runes or items in Elden Ring and need them real fast, use my code BAL for 3% off. As always, I'm doing a full playthrough when testing a build, but this time the mechanics and how to approach enemies are a bit different to me. No power stance in this time, and now I'm rocking a two-hand Greataxe, which on patch 1.06 have been buffed by increasing the attack speed and the time it takes for rolling after an attack. Jump attacks, dual wield, and mountain attacks are not included. This is very important. As you can see, the difference in attack speed is great and lets you combine several attacks, decreasing the chance that you are left open to an enemy attack, with the possibility of starting a roll to get out of harm's way. The idea behind this build was utilizing the great power the Greataxes now have after patch 1.06, with a build that could have a way to reduce that distance between you and the enemy and have a high poise and armor like a tank, so you don't get interrupted when swinging the weapon, and having the chance to break enemies' stance easily to do critical hits, translating all that into the massive amount of damage that this build can make. The weapon that I decided to go with for this build was the Executioner's Greataxe. It has the longest reach of all Greataxes, one of the top base physical damage, and the highest critical boost, so we will get the most damage when applying criticals. Also, Ashes of War can be applied to it, giving more versatility at the time you apply whatever type of affinity you want. And it's farmable, so you don't need NG Plus if you plan to get more than one. Executioner Greataxe can be found on several places throughout the map. In particular, little graveyards where skeletons are wielding it. First place you encounter to farm, and that's where I did, is after lake-facing cliffs, site of grace in Liurna of the Lake. Take the path west, passing the Church of Irith to the top, and on the right, a big skeleton with the axe will spawn and can drop it for you. This is a path you need to go after the site of grace, and at the end, the skeleton will spawn hidden on the right behind some bushes and tombstones. By default, the weapon has 245 physical attack power, one of the top Greataxes in the game, with 115 critical damage boost being the highest stat for a Greataxe. It has attribute scaling C with strength and E with dexterity, and a requirement of 34 strength and 8 dexterity. So you can start using it like less than mid-game. To benefit more of the pure strength build, you need to spec this weapon with a heavy affinity, resulting on an A scale with strength, on a max level Executioner Greataxe, and no dexterity scaling. Also using Lion's Claw Ash of War that you can use to reduce the distance and get to a close combat position to keep getting your attacks in. This Ash of War can be found in Fort Gale in Caelid by defeating the Lion Guard inside of it. Also, when starting the game, a good substitution weapon while you get the Executioner Greataxe is the Greataxe. I know the name is weird, but it's found near the Waypoint Ruins in Limgrave on a big black carriage on the main road. It's carried by two big trolls, so you have to at least hit one of them to stop the carriage and loot the chest behind the carriage. And be careful with the posse that's behind it. First, let's see how to play with this build, and then check out the Armaments, Talismans, Physick, Flask, Incantations, and lastly, what attributes you need to create it. To get the increased attack boost on the new patch 1.06, don't use jump attacks or dual wield. So the first hit can be a running attack or an attack with the Lion's Claw Ash of War. Then you need to continue your successive attack to be able to break their stance and perform a critical hit by continuing to do consecutive line close attacks or a combination of normal attacks. And if you roll to mid-distance or the enemy gets away, perform another Lion's Claw again to regain that close combat distance. And when you knock the enemy, perform the critical hit, and after that get close to the enemy and do an R2 charge strong attack to deal more damage. So just rinse and repeat this. For normal enemies, you may end up killing them after 1 or 2 or 3 hits. For challenging or boss fights, you may want to buff prior with your Incantations and your Physick Flask. The rest of the armaments are a small dagger to cast the Golden Bow Ash of War, and any seal actually, in this case the Finger Seal, to cast Flame Grant Me Strength or Flame Cleanse Me. The armor set that you need to use is the Bull Goat set, comprised of the helm, armor, gauntlets, and greaves. This set will give you the higher possible poise of 100, and it will allow you not to get staggered or interrupted when performing a hit or the Lion's Claw skill. And also this set had the bulky look that I was looking for. It drops when you invade and kill Great Horn Tragoth at the area where you kill the boss Magmagwir and Makar before entering Altos Plateau, taking the hidden pass when you don't have the medallion for the Grand Lift for Dectus. You get the target letter from Patches when he's on the Volcano Manor. Remember that this set, although it has high poise and physical defense, is the heaviest armor in the game, so that's why you need the help of one talisman to have a high weapon load and be able to wear it along with the Greataxe. And that brings you the talisman you need for this build. First is the Great Jar's Arsenal talisman that will increase maximum equip load by 19%, letting you use the Bull Goat set with the Greataxe. It's a reward for completing the Great Jar challenge of defeating 3 NPCs in Dragon Barrow. Check the map for the location. Next is the Ritual Sword talisman that will raise attack power by 10% when HP is at maximum. Located in Lux Ruins in Altos Plateau, in a chest after defeating the boss Demi-Human Queen Gillica. This talisman will help on the first hit with Lion's Claw and the successive combos to get that stance break. Remember to keep your HP full with Flask when you can. Next is Dragon Crest Great Shield talisman that will reduce physical damage by 20%. It's found in the base of the Halleck tree. Please check the comment section for a link to its exact location. Last one is the Shard of Alexander that will increase attack power of skills by 15%. It drops from Iron Fist Alexander after completing his quest line. He's the Big Jar NPC that you first met west of Stormhill Castle in Lingrave, where you kick him out of the ground. This talisman will increase the attack power of Lion's Claw. For the Physick Flash, you can use the Strength Knot Crystal tier that will increase strength by 10 and last 3 minutes. The base damage of this build at max level is 878, and with this tier active will increase the attack power to 900. It's located at northwest Limgrave. It's east of Stormhill Shack on a small stone receptacle on the ground. Check the map for its location. Next is the Stone Barb Crack tier that for 30 seconds will do stance damage by 30%. For a challenging or boss fight, you will use this tier and you have to be aggressive to hit the most on this 30-second window to be able to do a stance break, and then you will do a critical to do massive damage. Remember, after the critical, do a strong attack with the R2. It's obtained by killing the Putrid Avatar near the second minor air tree in Caelid. Check the map for its location. As Incantations, I only got 1 buff and 1 debuff. The buff is Flame Grant Me Strength that will increase physical damage and fire damage by 20% and plus 5 stamina recovery. Lasts 30 seconds and can be found behind Fort Gale in Caelid between 2 mechanical flamethrowers. So remember that in Fort Gale you get the Lion's Claw, and behind it outside it's the Flame Grant Me Strength incantation. Our only debuff is Flame Cleanse Me. It will get rid of poison and rot buildup. It's found in the Firemonk camp southeast of Church of Vows in Lurna of the Lakes. The buff sequence that you want to use before a challenging or boss fight will be first Golden Vow Ash of War, then Flame Grant Me Strength, and change back to your 2-hand Greataxe, and finally your Physick Flask. The main attributes for this build are Strength, Vigor, and Endurance. Strength is the most important attribute of this build. It will give you the chance to use heavy weapons like the Greataxe and do the most damage with it. Remember that the Executioner Greataxe will benefit from Strength with an A scaling and will do more damage if you wield it with 2 hands when it's max level and with heavy affinity. Vigor, because you need a good HP pool to withstand damage, although we're using a great armor set with physical defense talisman, but you will still get damage. It will be reduced, but you'll still get damage. And you want to be in close combat situations, so you will get damaged. and endurance to be able to do the most combos possible on fights and help with the weapon load. This character I'm using is a Rebirth Vagabond, so a few of the attributes that I'm not using might differ from you if you are using a different class. If you are creating this build from the beginning, you can start selecting a hero, a vagabond, or a warrior. I know it's a late game build, but if you want to start creating it, I'll start from level 50 character that will you need to have the stats around this value. Vigor at 26, you start building a good HP pool. Mine at 10, no points here now. Endurance at 25, strength at 30. To get to the requirement of the Greataxe substitution called Greataxe, while you get the Executioner Greataxe. If you manage to get the Executioner Greataxe, be sure to meet the 34 strength requirement. Just remove 4 points of endurance to meet it. Dexterity at 13, no points here ever because we already made the weapons requirement. Intelligence at 9, no points here ever. Faith at 9, no points here now. And Arcane at 7, no points here ever. For level 100 character, you should have the Executioner Greataxe by now and start to bulk up your character in armor. So the attribute spread look like this. Vigor at 40, Mind at 15, you start leveling up Mind to be able to use Lion's Claw more and more. Endurance at 30, Strength at 50, Dexterity at 13, Intelligence at 9, Faith at 15 to be able to use Flame Grabbing Strength, and Arcane at 7. For level 150, you should have already almost all the items for this build, so the attribute spread looked like this. Vigor at 55, Mind at 20, Endurance at 40, Strength at 70, Dexterity at 13, Intelligence at 9, Faith at 15, and Arcane at 7. For a level 200 like the character I'm playing, the attribute spread looked like this. Vigor at 65, it's a good HP pool to receive a lot of damage even with the armor and defense talisman you carry. Mind at 30, to cast a lot of Lion's Claw if a boss fight goes the distance. Endurance at 55 will let you do sufficient combos and sufficient use of Lion's Claw. Strength at 85. After level 200 you can still put points into strength and your attack power will still increase with less diminishing returns. Dexterity at 13, Intelligence at 9, Faith at 15, and Arcane at 7. With patch 1.6, it gave a well-deserved buff to the underperforming Greataxes. Now they're fast, making you do more damage at the end, and able to roll out after an attack much quicker, which results in more survivability in fights. This paired with a tank build, like the one I show you, will withstand a lot of damage with no stagger whatsoever when getting hit, so you will connect every time while playing aggressively to get knocked down your enemies for that sweet critical hit. That's what I liked about the Executioner's Greataxe, longest reach and highest critical damage of all Greataxes. So in short, this build is really OP now and will give players the possibility of playing with different types of Greataxes. So I recommend it 100% this build for your initial playthrough or your NG+. If you have a variation of this build or play with different Greataxe build, please share it in the comments below. I'm interested what kind of builds you create around Greataxes. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button so YouTube share it with more people, and subscribe if you don't want to miss build videos like this one. Thank you everybody for watching, and I really appreciate you. So as always, be safe and see you on the next one. Ciao!